Ranking players in GD is one of the hardest things to do as far as listing goes. This is because, over time, the dynamic of the game changes and requirements of players change. Also, the rise of 144Hz players in the game has changed things significantly, as it exposed a whole new level of capability to players around the time when 60Hz players dominated the community and followed the same patterns of activity. Nowadays, it is even harder to compare players, as so many players do amazing things. Every extreme demon is overloaded with victors about 3 months after it's rated, and generally ranking goes out of date incredibly fast. One of my first videos that went viral in the GD community was my attempt to rank the 20 best players of all time, based on a number of in-game and non-game factors. This is still something I'm proud of, as I spent a lot of time on it, especially given how early on it was in my career, but it went out of date very fast. That being said, I believe the best way to rank players nowadays is by looking at it through updates. It's very hard to compare two players from different eras, such as Luna Sming and Shaggy23, as they were totally different requirements for them to be the world number one of the time, as each period was very different. That being said, it's quite easy to compare somebody like Serve and Sonix from 2.0, as both followed similar rites of passage and both had a similar game and community to grow with. The best players of 2.0 is something I'm working on, but 10 months after 2.1 was released, I am confident I have a compelling list of the 10 best players we've seen in this update, as it's something I've been working on and observing in 2017. Just one thing to emphasise, this list is based around update 2.1 as a whole. It is not about the current best players, and it has no bearing on 2.0, and it's generally based around 2017 as a year for GD, so not everyone you expect from 2.0 will be there, e.g. Blast CFB, Super X, Riot, etc. Other than that, sit back and get ready, as we're going to be discussing the top 10 best players of 2.1 so far based on a number of factors. Remember, this is for entertainment purposes, and while I'd like to think this is as accurate as list as they come, if you have differing thoughts and feelings, feel free to share your opinions respectfully in the comments. Other than that, enjoy. 10 Perm, formerly known as a Khan, is a player renowned for circles levels and being the master of the wave. However, between the period of him beating Sonic Wave in late 2.0 and moving into 2.1, he has developed as a player outside of the wave mode. Not only this, but he has become the first player to beat every single rated 9 circles level as of the August 2017 period, eclipsing Riot's old series achievements. This magnitudinal achievement has been the crown jewel of his career, but he has developed as a player and become a very complete demon slayer, beating a number of the hardest demons in the top 20 and 30. He has lapsed slightly towards the end of 2.1 and does have a slight issue with not completing and finishing a lot of the demons he starts, but largely he has been one of 2.1's biggest success stories in terms of player growth and development, and is now world class in all areas of the game. Sugayesta has always been at the forefront of the game, but as I discussed in the intro, he was never able to be comparable to many of the other best players based on his refresh rate. Not only this, he also suffered setbacks in the quality of his PC and was generally quite technologically impaired compared to other players. When 2.1 was released, he quite famously started steamrolling daily insane demons, with his goal being to beat all the insane demons, but midway into the update he upgraded his monitor to 144Hz, and truly unleashed his full power on the community. Many had speculated how good Gaesta would be on 144Hz, and he quickly showed us when he beat Bloodbath just one day after acquiring it. Following this, he did a number of notable things, including becoming the first to beat Black Blizzard and verifying a few new extreme demons, most notably Carnage mode by Findexy. He still hasn't beaten some of the absolute giants like Yatagarasu and Sonic Wave, but he's been regularly ticking off extreme demons and is an incredibly frequent uploader. He even became the first person to beat Super X's Silent Club version, a level some would say to be in the top 3 of the demons list. Gaesta really gained the edge over other players when he verified Hatred in 2.0, and I expect he will be looked on even more majestically when one of his large level projects like Freedom Dive starts to materialise. But for now, Sugayesta is one of the most unmatched in skill, speed and ability together. KevTom is a relatively unknown 2.1 success story, and I do feel like he has been quite unfortunate in how unnoticed he's been despite how brilliant he is. He hasn't got a huge quantity of slain demons to his name, but he has some top tier levels under his belt. He was one of the first to beat Yatagarasu and quickly followed this up by being number 2 to beat Erebus. When he beat Sonic Wave, he became the first player in GD history to beat the top 3 we now know so well of Erebus, Sonic Wave and Yatagarasu. He also achieves these in remarkably low attempts, and generally can beat whatever he sets his mind to. He's now starting to tick off more of the extreme demons on the list and is moving up the player list very fast. I'm quite excited to see some harder levels above Erebus released soon to see how he takes those, as he really rose to the challenge in 2.1 and proved himself to be a world class player. Combined has not been as active a player in 2.1 as most, but nearly every major thing he has done has been absolutely huge for the community. He grew in 2.0 when he became the first to beat Sakup in Hell, and eventually followed this up in the end by verifying Artificial Ascent, a level that remained in the top 3 for a decent amount of time. Into 2.1, he wasn't too active, besides the occasional Sonic Wave and Yatagarasu progress video. However, upon becoming a close friend of Viperin, he got the opportunity to spearhead a lot of the new upcoming Extreme Demons. His first was Hypersonic, a huge flagship level to revive the Sonic series in 2.1. He followed this up shortly after with Subsonic, a sequel and top 10 Extreme Demon at the time that was harder than Bloodbath. After this, he announced he would be verifying the sequel to his biggest achievement, Artificial Ascent, the sequel mega collab Digital Descent. While he had a few wobbly moments and questions over his future, he quickly returned and verified Digital Descent with remarkable speed, with none of this year-long waiting time on Extreme Demons we're used to. Around mid-2017 he became interchangeable with his speed, and was even picked by Manix ahead of Temporum quite controversially to verify Blade of Justice, with his speed of verification being very attractive to a creator who wanted his dying level released ASAP. After Digital Descent, the level was criticised for not being harder than Artificial Ascent, and Combined promised to release a buff date to take it far above. Many, including myself, were sceptical on how fast this could be verified, but he quickly released this level, buffed to Yatagarasu difficulty. He has proved time and time again that he is one of the fastest and most capable players in the game. It's just a shame he's not more active. That being said, he recently had his first stream, and so hopefully he can start ticking off list demons and move in even higher in the pecking order. Boldstep is a player who came from almost nothing to become one of the most adept players in the game. 2.1 has really been his time, where he has verified no less than 5 top 20 extreme demons, including the current number 1 demon, Erebus. Boldstep acquired a 144Hz monitor in late 2.0 and started beating some top 20 demons, enough to get him noticed by Rustam to verify Erebus, which at the time was unheard of a level, so no one really cared about it besides when it appeared in my creator contest. But he kept buffing the level and was remarkably persistent despite its trademarked horrendously frustrating gameplay, and you can argue that he continued through where many top players would have quit. In early 2.1, he verified Erebus, and as time went by, it continued being moved up the list when big players got their hands on it, up until in mid-2017 it was moved above Sonic Wave, making it the number 1 hardest demon. Straight after Erebus, he began verifying Step to Hell, a level that took ages to be rated but then became another top 10 extreme demon. He also saved the mega collab Twisted Tranquility from falling out of the community after it was unrated, and recently picked up and verified Robbuck's long-awaited object-heavy masterpiece Glowy. In the last few days, Boldstep has followed this up by verifying Killbot, another amazing, long-awaited art level but also an extreme memory demon. Generally, Boldstep is a very persistent player and never gives up where others easily would. As time goes on, his dedication will continue to land him opportunity and growth, as he has recently surpassed 10,000 subscribers. Diamond Splash, formerly known as Diamond Block, was a huge mobile player success story back in 2.0. He poured thousands of attempts into loads of extreme demons and became a top player, competing with the best despite his hardware shortcomings. And so, towards the end of 2.0, it was no surprise to see him smash the community when he got a 144Hz monitor. His first big break was becoming the first to beat Artificial Ascent in 2.0, and went into 2.1 full of confidence and skill. He then excelled beyond what anyone was expecting when he beat Yatagarasu, but simply continued to grow and rise when he beat Sonic Wave and Erebus. Now, he is one of the 3 best players in the world currently, and consistently beats the hardest extreme demons only days after their release. His speeds are inhuman, and he does it without much rage, stress or trouble. He recently became the first to beat Kadrega City, and now is in the process of ticking off the majority of the top 20. There really is no stopping this guy, and I'm really interested to see how he fares against levels like Bloodlust and how quickly he'll beat them. While Noctifly is one of the most controversial players in the game, nobody can deny how successful he has been in 2.1. Not only has he continually smashed the hardest demons, including Sonic Wave and Yatagarasu thanks to his acquisition of 144Hz, but he also star grinded to the point that he became the GD World #1. He was the first to surpass the 65k star limit and has been absolutely unbelievable in his speed of completion. There are many rumours and accusations against him at the moment, but I seriously doubt that any of these are true. It's a shame he is such an outspoken and controversial player, as it has put a bitter aftertaste over his wide spectrum of achievements. He most famously became the first person to beat Devil Vortex, a level he was fighting to have condemned and unrated, which still remains a level being upped more and more on the list even today. He also verified Zafkill, one of the hardest extreme demons at the moment that is not being pushed down the list despite so much activity in the top 10. And he was the very first to beat the buffed version of Death Corridor known as Death Corridor Finale, which is harder than Sonic Wave. But as I said, it's just a shame his personality conflicts have caused so much drama to overshadow his career, and he has been on the verge of quitting more than once. Scullo is a player who I admire incredibly, as he got to where he is through an inspirational story of hard work. He was a good player, but nothing special for a 144Hz player. That is until he became only the 4th player to beat Yatagarasu, the #1 demon at the time. While Serve, Sonics and Blast were all expected to beat it, Scullo came out of nowhere to stamp his name among the best players in the game. And following Yatta, he didn't stop there. He beat Erebus, Sonic Wave and many others. His comical rage has become his sort of style, but his determination and motivation have never wavered, to the point that he is now the 2nd most decorated player in the world, behind Sonics. He continually goes through the list, ticking off demons and frequently smashing any task in his way. It's great, as he is another player who's come out of nowhere and worked his way up to be one of the only players keeping this community going in 2.1, and he is one of the top 3 players in the world right now. Perhaps 2.1's biggest community revolution, Wushi999 was a player that came out of nowhere to eclipse even Sonics in his prime. Wushi was a player relatively unknown before 2.1, but in 2.1 he very quickly accumulated tens of demons, with his goal being to clear the entire top 50. He ticked off over half the list with ease early on in 2.1, and was the first player to beat Erebus, the now hardest demon. He also famously beat the year-long awaited level Blade of Justice just 2 hours after it was released. He also beat Yatagarasu, Artificial Ascent, Bausha Vortex, and did everything on stream. He managed to be an incredibly humble and respectable player in the face of a rush of fame and attention too, with people holding him in higher esteem than Sonics for a time. He was so good that he even prompted accusations of not just hacking, but accusations of that he might be a queer group, a group of players pretending to be one player with godlike skills, which I am embarrassed to say was an accusation that came from me. But simply, no, he is just an absolutely unbelievable demon grinder. A few months ago, he quit the game and returned with the intention of becoming a creator, but quickly failed to call back to his glory days when he blew Stalemate Redux and Digital Descent out of the water. Unfortunately, he's now quit GD for good officially, it seems, deleting his channel in the last week. He can unfortunately no longer be regarded as the best player in the world, as he is no longer active and we will likely never see him return. But boy, he sure was one of 2.1's biggest awakenings, and one of the best players the game has ever seen. Before we unveil #1, let's take a look at a few players who didn't quite make it onto the list, but are worthy of recognition nonetheless. Rampage has been a very recent 2.1 success story, after he came out of nowhere to smash the top 3. Rampage is a player looking to prove himself, and he quickly got the opportunity when Riot gave him content processing, and he quickly took that in his stride, and made a rated extreme demon out of it that places 7th on the list. I expect him to excel further as the update goes on. It will be interesting to see what he does from here. EndLevel was a skilled player through 2.0, but really picked up in 2.1, beating Erebus and Sonic Wave. He also became an influential player in the community too, becoming the cornerstone of the GD Demons List team. He became the verifier of a lot of projects, including things like Demos and Woodkid. He's disappeared from the community now, and we still have yet to know why. Everybody on this list so far has been 144Hz, but Luqualizer is one of the last godlike 60Hz players left, and he is definitely the best in his field. He's beaten a lot of the top 50 demons despite his hardware restrictions, and he even verified End of the World by Demon Clown, a former impossible timing demon which was made even harder on 60Hz. In a community completely ruled by 144Hz, he is still managing to keep up in ways we never thought we'd see from a 60Hz player. Was there ever any doubt? Sonix is a player who sprung up in late 2.0 under the alias Deem, and he has never looked back in his decorated career since. He was renowned for his speed and has never ceased his activity in over a year of it now. Many thought he wouldn't be able to top his achievements in 2.0 when he verified Sonic Wave, the legendary demon, but he has just continued growing and growing in 2.1. He opened his account with Yatagarasu and continued from there on out. He was overshadowed by Wuxi for a while, especially after he became somewhat of a more reclusive player in order to practice Sonic Wave Infinity, the crown jewel of his empire he inherited from Riot himself. But as Wuxi faded, Sonix persisted and slowly reclaimed the #1 spot as the most decorated player in the world according to Pointercrate. And when he was fully re-established, he went on an absolute whirlwind run and became the first to beat tens of demons as they came out, including Cellmate Redux, both versions of Digital Descent, and many, many more. He verified Cadrega City, and it's now accepted that he has buffed Sonic Wave Infinity to beyond Bloodlust level and is still making significant progress in it. He is the future of GD through and through, and is at the absolute peak of his power. He is about to overtake Truster in subs, his main competition for 2.0, and I can see no way in which Sonix can be topped, at least until he decides to slow down or take a break. But as the subs keep rolling in, the views keep climbing and the money keeps flowing, he is simply going to become more and more motivated to do amazing things, including beat a buffed version of Death Corridor, known as Death Corridor Z. In all honesty, I think he is the new Riot, an established world #1 who won't be topped until he says so. GD has never seen a player like him, and with the community falling the way it is, who knows if we ever will see one like him again. So that's it from me. That was my all-out list in tremendous detail for the best players of 2.1 based around the update. Who do you think the best players of the update are? Did you agree with the order? What do you have to add? Are your favourite players on the list? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments, and let's see if we can get some discussions going. If you loved this video, please slap a like on it, and you'll be pleased to know if you did that I'm planning another version for all of 2.0, which will be even better and more complete, and given that it's around 2.0, which is a finished update, it should never go out of date. I thank you very much for watching this video, and I wish you a great weekend. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and checking out some of my other content that's linked in the description, as it really helps me out. Thanks guys, I'll see you all soon.